Homestead. So today I'm going to try wood chipping. I had these trees that came down, the storms that we had, and I didn't really chop them up much. This big one's obviously too big. This is a small wood chipper by Harbor Freight, the 212 horsepower Predator engine. It's meant for 3-foot wide things. So I'm going to be chopping up the branches, putting in, I would say 2 inches. It's new, so I don't want to overdo it. It's a windy day, so you might get a lot of problems hearing, but we'll give it a try and see how it goes.
So I followed the instructions and primed it with a few pulls, and it took several pulls to actually get it to turn. I was pulling with some strength, but not as hard as I could. So if you pull harder, it probably will start a little easier. Overall, also was quieter than I thought, at least at the startup. And then as it kept going, as you put it on higher speeds, it does get faster. They do tell you for the first 3 hours, only run it at 2/3 or something like that. So I think that also made it bog down a little more. And part of it was the areas to put these sticks into is fairly small. So breaking them up was most of the work, actually. And then to put it through the chipper, various size pieces. Anything under 2 inches, anything under 1 inch I put in the top. Anything over 1 inch to 2 inches, went into that little chute for the bigger pieces. And that seemed to work pretty well. The one thing is it would grab the wood and pull it in. And it was kind of shocking. The first couple times I did it, I would jump back. Because it almost feels like it wants to pull you in. Especially when I was holding the wood from the midpoint and pushing it in. Like the wood would then be pulled in and almost like pull my arm in. And the wood at the end would then whip by. And I got a few scratches from this. So, long sleeves probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I would also hold the wood from the end of the piece like there. And then when it gets pulled in, it's just pulled out of your hand. You don't have the piece at the back trying to come through. Now, this is one of the times it bogged down, and there were several times it bogged down. Generally, I found the longer pieces, it would start chopping them up, but after 4 feet or so of, closer to 2 inch pieces, it would just bog down. So if you're cutting a piece more than 2 inches, I would probably cut it into like a 1 foot, 18-inch piece. Because then it kind of starts slowing down, but then you can catch up because then it's done with it. But if it's more, it starts slowing down and it just stops. With these pieces, the way they were, I just restarted it, just pulled, because I knew that the piece that I had pulled out was most of the wood that had caused the block and got it out that way. I am going to make another video showing how to deal with a blockage to remove the panels and the chute and how to get everything out of there. But it was somewhat frustrating. It did bog down fairly often, especially with all this greenwood. And I had heard that the greenwood was a little tougher to deal with this machine. But it did grind everything up pretty well, and that's going to be shown a little later. I found the smaller pieces going through the top went no problem. And this is an example of, you got to limb up the whole tree. That's most of the work here. And then the piece that's there, the widest I'd say is probably a little over 2 inches, not by much. And I just wanted to see how it would do. And this is one of those where if I had made it shorter, I think it would have been able to do it. But at that length, it just starts slowing down and then it's done. And it's just going to bog down. So greenwood seems to be a little harder. If it's over 2 inches, like I said, cutting into smaller pieces, I think would be the way to go. So here I am cutting the length's a little shorter, and less than an inch, not a problem. 1 to 2 inches, even not a problem. This piece is a little bigger, and it bogged down again. And so the machine does bog down a lot. You kind of get what you pay for with this. There are bigger models out there, but they are going to be significantly pricier. And I just wanted to get something small, take care of the general stuff around the house, and anything, close to 3 inches or greenwood, I'm just going to leave probably and do it once it dries out. For the bigger pieces, just make a stack of them and grind them up later. So this time when it bogged down, it would turn, but I wasn't able to get the engine to turn over. So I ended up redoing the choke, put the choke back on, so that got more gas going to it, and eventually I was able to get it restarted that way. So this is an example of the shorter piece. If that had been twice as long, I think the engine would have bogged down again. By making it, a foot or two, that seems to work the best. For limbing up the branches, this I found was the best, just one-handing the electric saw. They do make some that are meant for one hand. This one was not. And that would probably be a safer and better way to do it. As wood chips go, this looks pretty good. High quality, good chips, a lot of pieces of, some good sized pieces of wood. I guess this is where it bogged down. Like I said, this was kind of green, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So overall, it's pretty impressive. Ground up everything pretty well. I have a lot of dry stuff. This one actually was not that dry. This stuff had fallen down in the windstorm we had, the snowstorm we had about a month ago. So it was somewhat green. So the 3-inch ones, 2.5 to 3-inch ones that were somewhat green, as you could tell, got bogged down. Took me a while to start it because I could tell there wasn't much in there. So I just restarted it. You're supposed to open up the back and clean it out, which they have. It looks like it's fairly straightforward, but I just kept pulling it, let the machine clear itself, and it seemed to work as well. So there you have it. Any questions, put them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Have a great day.